So today we have a woman talking about how women are evil. I'm going to let the whole clip run, the whole 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and then we going to react to it.
Okay, so this is something that I honestly been pondering on actually for a few years now. I remember what the Bible said about women and like the evil spirit, what the Bible says about the Jezebel spirit and, you know, things I see that women do, things I know and heard that women do. The paternity issue, how these women lay next to a man for years, looking a kid in the eyes for years, knowing there's no relation, how good men get stomped out, how kids are just used for a check. I've come to the conclusion that I think women are just pure evil. Like, I really think women are just pure evil. Women are naturally evil beings, I believe. And only a woman who's honest about our natural nature of being deceptive can change it. Like, for example, I know that naturally there's a selfish, gimme, 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 I want that type of way about me. So, about people, period, but especially women. So if you can't be honest and say that that's in there, then you can't deal with it and address it. And so I've noticed that the women who say they're the dopest, they're the this, they're the that are usually the worst because you have to acknowledge the beast in you in order to tame it. And so I really just think most women are naturally evil, period. I just think they're evil. And not even just how they deal with men and kids makes them evil, but how they deal with each other. Women are so jealous, deceptive, conniving. Like, you can just feel the evil when you are in the presence of certain women. You can walk in a room and you just feel the daggers. You just feel that demonic spirit. Women are evil. I don't care what nobody say. Women are untrustworthy, deceitful, demonic beings. I said what I said.
Now, see, this is the thing. Nothing that she said was news. People just love it, or even I love it. I'm not going to lie, to some extent. Because you love to see a woman hold other women accountable or tell the truth about women to some degree. And also the word evil, which is a very strong word, is coupled with this. It's not women are, X, Y, Z, X. Evil encompasses a whole list of bad shit. It's just a myriad of wildly bad things. If we're talking about anything, if you say the NBA is evil, why is the NBA evil? Like, there are a lot of things under the umbrella of evil. Now, like she mentioned, there are things like the Jezebel spirit in the Bible, and you have other things, other concepts and things like that. And even in the Bible, you have stories like Samson and Delilah, and you also have Adam and Eve. And I'm sure other stories in other, in other, religions that pretty much make the message to some degree, that the downfall of man can be, and in some cases absolutely is, women. And when you look at those two stories that were written, pretty sure thousands of years ago, they highlight certain things in the nature of women. One of the things that I always mention on this channel, the women are deceptive and deceitful by nature. They typically live lives of deception. Why would I even have to make a red flag video with like 17 red flags to find out if your girl is a bop or 304 if they weren't actively at all times, universally, country to country, culture to culture, trying to deceive men? And when you really look at it, a lot of things that they do are inherent and innate. It is just in them. It is not something that they cultivated and they went and read a book and learned how to manipulate. No, 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 no. We as men, a lot of men have to figure out through trial and error and, other people giving them the game and stuff like, we got to figure out the game like that. When it comes to women, they have a lot of power in between their legs, and they just innately know how to manipulate and deceive to get what they want. Not only that, most of them are extremely selfish, highly entitled. We look at this anytime we turn on these dating videos, and it's just an abundance of this content out there where women talk about the high standards that they have as far as six figures, all this stuff. You got to be a high value man, all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. They get so upset at the what do you bring to the table talking point because it never crosses their mind and it's not on their agenda. It's nothing that they really care to do as far as bringing value to a man. They do not seek or look to bring value to a man at all. And being that this conversation is relatively new, a lot of them don't know how to maneuver around it. They don't know the right answers because they don't care to know the right answers. They know there's no consequence for not knowing the right answers, even after dudes give it to them and they don't retain it. So giving the right answer is not an option. Saying stuff like, you as a man, you should build the table, da-da-da-da-da. That's one of the things that they'll say, like, or I am the table, shit like that just re-highlights, their baseless entitlement. Because what the fuck does that even mean? What does that mean when we are talking about a man has to do X, Y, Z to get you, but then when it comes to a man getting you, you are the table. What is that supposed to mean? That means you are just that desirable to where it is a privilege and you are a prize. I just got done reacting to a video with Tracy Ellis Ross where she was getting ran through by young dudes, but she don't want to be with an older dude because she doesn't want to be a possession. She doesn't want to be a prize and stuff like that. But again, you'll see the same woman that applaud that 50-year-old bullshit say stuff like, oh yeah, I am the table. Or they'll say, I am the prize. And then they will, and this is another thing that they do. Men who want women to give them value, not only do they say that the men are sassy, they basically emasculate the man and say he's feminine. The men want to be the women now. They want to be passenger princesses, et cetera, all that stuff. Now, when we talk about evil, a lot of the stuff that I've mentioned is surface level. Let's talk about some real evil that women do. One of the evil things that an abundance of women do is use the kids as pawns, whether it be family court or whatever else the case may be. And a lot of men have been so brainwashed by the system and women to the point where they'll say something like, man, you're not a real man if you're not fighting to see your kids. I don't care how much I got to go through. I'm going to fight to see my kids. You should be fighting to see your kids or you a deadbeat. Why should any man have to fight to see their kids? Why should any man have to be, fighting to be a father? Why is that even a thing? Why is that even a thing? A rapper named Ransom had a great bar that'll stick with me for the rest of my life because I don't even listen to this cat no more. He had a bar where he said, how am I paying child support when I support my child? For this whole topic, as far as like paternity and stuff like that, I recommend watching the Red Pill documentary. There is something to where one of the guys basically says that the woman he was with, I won't give you the whole story, but I'll give you a little bit. You need to go and watch it. Long story short, he would go to pick up his child and stuff like that. And when it's time for the exchange for the child, she would do little things like play with him, hold the kid out. And then when he go to reach for the kid, pull the kid away and stuff like that. And, sometimes not show up to the meeting spot or show up late, et cetera, et cetera. And there's no consequence. But one of the things that was like one of the last straws is a kid, and this is how evil they are. She wanted the kid to be fat because she was fat. She wanted him to be of her image, even if it could cost him his health and his life. So she wanted him to be fat. This is just a very evil woman we're talking about. The dad noticed that he didn't want to be fat. The child didn't want to be fat. So what he did was he taught him how to track his weight. He taught him how to track his weight. His kid was like between 12 and 14, right? Every time that the kid, and this is the thing, he had the kid tracking his weight. He got a track record. Every time the kid is with the dad, he loses weight. Every time he's with the mom, he gains weight. She is keeping him obese. He presented that to the court, right? And the solution that the court had was take the scales out of the dad's house so that he doesn't weigh himself. The mom is making him obese. The dad has a track record. She's inherently she's an evil woman. The judge and the judges in general are biased towards women. Women know that, and they abuse that power so much when it comes to family court. Let me tell you something else that's evil. Having and cheating, having another man's kid, but acting like it's the man that you're with, his kid. And letting this go on until you fucking die. Letting this man think that this is his kid, letting him raise the kid, never coming clean, and letting this charade go on, this facade go on until you die. Like, even after you're dead, nobody will ever know this stuff except for the guy you was having sex with, because they be knowing. And you. The dad don't know. Sometimes the dad might even suspect it, but just avoid getting the test because they know that's going to be some devastating stuff, and they already love the kids. Now, this next thing I'm going to name that is very evil is exclusive to women. It's exclusive to women. And it is something that I have kind of scoured the internet, and you'll never see somebody do an interview about this or give their perspective, because it's not only a crime, but it just makes you somebody that nobody wants to be around ever. But setups. We could start first with the Cardi B's, because Cardi B didn't admit to getting anybody killed, but what she admitted to was drugging men and robbing them. And she has no remorse to this day. She stands on it. She shits on anybody that brings it up. And let me tell you how crazy society is and how much power women have, even though we're in a patriarchy and stuff like that. Rick Ross just said in some bars, put a Molly in her drink and she ain't even know it. He just said that. He universally caught scrutiny, had to apologize, and that's the world that we living in. That's wrong. We all can agree that that's wrong, right? Cardi B does it, and she robs men. She robs men. Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris still seeked her endorsement when they were running for president. This robbing ass hood rat bitch, this evil bitch, they still wanted her on the campaign. Even when it comes to Fox News covering, like, because they're the liberal, anti-Democrat, they didn't even highlight, this chick, like when they were covering, like, this chick is a robbing, criminal who used to drug men. They wouldn't even put that in there from my memory. So to get to the point where you could do something like that, like, men's lives are not valued. We just got to keep men's safety and lives are just not valued at all. And it's a lot of simp stuff that goes on to where not only is it accepted and stuff like that, but Cardi B, and just manipulation as well, to where Cardi B, somebody like that, can still get endorsed on that level or still could be put on that type of platform. When we go past that, let's get to the actual setup chicks that I'm talking about. This happens in the hood a lot. You will have a woman who is set to lure a man in. The people who are creating the setup, they are planning to, in some cases, just rob the guy. In some cases, it turns into a robbery killing. In some cases, everybody knows that this is all just about killing this person. I'm going to play a clip about one of these incidents.
That senseless killing.
Jarrell Pryor stayed out of trouble and worked hard raising his daughter Honey until he was set up, ambushed, and shot to death near 49th and Primrose, just north of the state fairgrounds in late January.
I'm broken inside. I'm torn. I'm tore up.
He lost his life for going on a date.
In fact, just a few hours before Tamika and Travis Wiley's son was killed, police believe Pryor messaged this woman, Alexis Hawkins, asking a three-word question, "When you free?" This affidavit claims that while Hawkins agreed to go on a date with Pryor, she simultaneously began messaging her boyfriend, Brian Winston Jr., arranging to rob the unsuspecting victim.
It was a senseless act, and they didn't get nothing out of it. And they took everything from us. You can't escape this type of pain. You can't. There's no running from it. There's no getting away.
Now, that's just one story. And that man is innocent. He is not a street dude. None of that is going on. It's not, bruh. It was no reason for him to be in that situation at all. But I'm talking about since at least, bruh, I ain't gonna lie, since the dawn of time, this stuff has been going on. But if we just look at the hood specifically, this is definitely, bruh, 30 years ago in E40 videos, they was, go look up Dusted and Disgusted. They had this going on. A dude was getting set up by a woman. Like, this is something that is damn near as old as time. And let me tell you how crazy it is. A chick will be a setup chick, right? And just go about her life and just be cool and just act like that never happened. And everybody accept her and everything be cool, except in some places like Chicago, because somebody, you know, in some cases, because these young YNs, they be going crazy nowadays, man. So somebody did get lined up. Everybody knew who lined her up or lined him up. And she was out of here in 2 to 3 business days. And you know how these young dudes do. They was trolling the dead, so they was trolling her, et cetera, et cetera. But they did that, as far as what we just looked at, to a regular guy that ain't ever did nothing to nobody, bruh. He not no street dude. He not robbing people, bruh. Just a regular guy, a dad, no regard for his life, no regard for his safety. They didn't even get nothing, fam. Now, another thing that I failed to mention is innately how they test men. How they test men and give men a hard time and shit and all that stuff and et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things that I always say is that the game exists because of women. One of the issues with being a man, like when it comes to like this dating stuff, when it comes down to it, like you don't have to lie, and you might be a guy that's a Boy Scout. You know, I'm kind of a Boy Scout to some degree, to where it's like you really don't see the point in lying. You don't lie. And the one thing you don't do, you don't run no manipulation, nothing like that. You're not trying to run no crazy game to where you manipulate nothing crazy or anything like that. You're just trying to keep it regular. That's how that's how a high percentage of dudes are. Most dudes is not trying to run no super. We don't want to do that. We just want some coochie, but it's a means to an end. So some people, they figure, yo, I gotta game this chick up. I gotta go da-da-da-da-da, because that's what's going to get them to success. So to a lot of dudes, game, or even in some cases, flat out lying, flat out being a liar, that is a means to an end. That is something that they learn how to do. It is something conscious. It is not any guy that's running game. It is something that they are consciously doing. When it comes to women testing men, women trying to see like if you are who they think you are, if you were built to, lead them and all of this shit, a lot of the stuff that they do is just natural. It just comes out of it. They didn't mean to do it. It's just subconscious. And that is how come, and this is the thing about it, that is why most women engage in this shit, because it's not something that somebody has taught them. It's not something that they read out of a book. It's not something that they got off of YouTube or TikTok. It's just in them to try and, for example, disrespect the man that they are with and push the boundaries just to see if he has enough backbone to stand up for himself and regulate. And guess what also happens? And I've seen this not just personally, but a lot of times. If you really put your foot down, If you really be assertive, if you really hold a boundary steadfast, if you check a chick in some cases, this makes some chicks wet. Some chicks are absolutely attracted to this. But that's not something that all men just naturally are, even the most men naturally are. That's how come a lot of men fail test. But when it comes to women, that is something that it is just instinctive. They do it without anybody coaching them or telling them this is what you need to do. And listen, we could do this video all day. We could do a 6-hour joint, but I just did a joint that's very long that you guys are going to get at some point, or you may have gotten by now, which is the Black Experience joint. But listen, just to wrap this up, are women evil? The thing I'm going to say to that is, even if you say that they are not evil, even if you don't agree with it, the only thing it can be as far as why you don't agree with it is the word. That's the only reason you could not agree with it. You could think it's too powerful or strong of a word to place on women in general. You could think that. And let's just say that I think that. Let's just say that I don't want to stand on women being evil. The one thing that I will say is that when we get to all the things that I mentioned and more that I haven't mentioned, the one thing I will say that I will stand on is that they are chaotic and destructive by nature. Chaotic and destructive. I don't care if I give you some nut and you build a kid out of that nut. That's cool, because you can build. But a lot of them choose to destroy. A lot of them choose to destroy. A lot of them are destroying on autopilot. A lot of them are destroying on autopilot. That's it for today, man.
Hey yo, being nice to chicks is the wrong idea. You gotta treat chicks like dirt, and I'm a dyke. I'm telling you that straight up. You gotta treat chicks like dirt. You gotta treat them like tricks. If you don't, then they gonna think, oh, they gonna try to run over you. I promise you that. Girls don't really know how to take it when somebody really fuck with them and care about them. You gotta treat them like dirt bags. I'm telling you straight the fuck up. You start treating a bitch too nice, oh my God, she gonna try to do all kinds of sucker shit to you. You start showing her too much trust on life, she gonna try to do so much sucker shit to you. I'm telling you this, and I'm a whole bulldog. I'm a dyke. And I'm telling you straight up so I can just imagine how it is for men. You understand what I'm saying? You be too nice to these bitches, some of them don't know how to take that shit. They start thinking you a sucker and try to run over you. Till you get that bitch to boot and she had to come crawling back. Shit real.
And I'ma tell you niggas something. These demons look good, boy. They look good, boy. They go to the DR. They go down to Miami, Florida. They get their body done. They had them titties sitting up right. Ass be fat. Waist be little. Instagram followers be up. Face be pretty. Hair be laid. Motherfucking tax flyer be made. Arms crossed. Bitch getting money and be a motherfucking demon. You better ask a nigga. It's already coming out. It's a bitch on here right now. Have these so-called men soft and feminine. You don't know a bitch feel like this up front. You don't know that that's a bitch real feelings towards men. So you fuck on and you think you building something with the bitch. Make her mad enough or give her the perception that y'all ain't finna be together or you finna be with somebody else. Just what she type finna come out in her behavior. You never knew she had a belief like that. You never knew her belief towards men in general was that most of y'all or half of y'all is softer than a bitch and feminine. You never knew she felt like that, but you done gave her your nut. And then now she in charge of rather babies born. So now you got babies with a bitch that have a negative view of nearly half the male gender. So now what you gonna do, bro? This when that real nigga mode gotta come in. Can you stand on whatever decision you make, right? And then it is a heavy effect on people involved, regardless of what decision that you make. It's a lot of y'all, especially black men, you at that crossroads where you faced with, do I choose my mental health or do I choose to be there and involved with these children while this demon fucking is after my mindset because I didn't conform to the expectations she had for me when we never made no agreements up front. But she didn't know to make agreements with me first, nor did I.